Hello, everybody. My name's Josh Kuestersteffen. I'm a software engineer at Medic, and we're going to do just a quick presentation here about the upcoming UI extensions feature. If I could grab the next slide, please. This is coming soon in 5.2.0. We're hoping to drop that release probably in the next couple of weeks. So this is very much right around the corner. The idea of UI extensions is that it lets you add basically a custom page to the CHT app interface. And this is going to show up in the interface either as a new main tab, as you can see in the screenshot here, just down at the bottom, or as another page that's going to be accessible from that hamburger side menu. And the contents of this new page can really range from anything from like a really simple static web page to kind of a whole mini app that you can build and deploy out there. Next slide, please. One of the key features about UI extensions that's been really important as we've built it out is that it's going to have access to the CHT data source API, which all that is it's essentially the same code interface used internally in the CHT core code for kind of accessing and interacting with the CHT data model. So getting access to contact data, report data, all of that is contained in the interfaces provided by CHT data source. It works online or offline seamlessly, so you can just call it through the same way regardless of which type of user, and it's going to have access to whatever data that particular user has access to. And it's also a very stable API. It's been designed to be versioned, and so it should remain backwards compatible across releases of the CHT, so you'll be able to code against it without worrying about this just randomly breaking in the future. So unlike maybe going directly to data in the database that could change or evolve over time, these are going to be stable versioned APIs. And then kind of lastly too, as you're building out different extensions, they are just web components running in the browser. They can use the normal browser kind of fetch functionality to talk to any of the CHT server's existing REST endpoints as well. So these UI extensions, they are managed just like the rest of your CHT configuration code, and you can use CHT conf to add, update, and remove them from the server. It doesn't require you to fork CHT core and make code changes like that or anything. It's just very much follows the same pattern of deploying configuration code as everything else. This stuff has been kind of built along with a big team of people from across the community. Shout out in particular to Onro and the team from Western Cape. They came in with the initial impetus to get this off the ground and really have stuck with us, continually providing more feedback and iterations as we loop through. Another group, the Nepal team, has been interested in using UI extensions to solve some of the pain points that they've got as well. And Binod's been working with us closely too, providing a lot of feedback and direction and guidance to everything here. So right now, I want to go ahead and turn it over to Binod for a bit of a demo on the UI extension that he's been working on for Nepal. Binod, over to you.
Thank you, Josh. I'm Binod. Let me share my screen. I hope you can see the screen.
We can see the screen. We see a black phone.
Oh, okay. So it was off. So here's our CHT. I have already loaded the UI extension. Yeah, so it is available here. As Josh had said, you can add multiple, either here in the tab or somewhere around here. This time, put it here. And so before UI extensions, when you wanted to allow the users to contact for support, we used to put it in either in the forms or in something like privacy policy uh, for the phone numbers. But now we can put it directly. It is more accessible, and we can give more options. We can also show like which user name is being used, which is helpful for troubleshooting. We can also show a summary of like the documents they have inside them. And another feature that is probably being going to be used is the frequently asked questions. We get a lot of questions. If we can put them directly here, it can also reduce the time spent on supporting on the frequently asked questions. There's a lot more that can be done with the UI extensions. It's just the simple things like we have a playlist on YouTube that trains the users or like how to use the app. We can directly link to here, which would open the playlist in YouTube.
बाल स्वास्थ्य सेवा समन्वयका लागि मोबाइल स्वास्थ्य कार्यक्रम अन्तर्गतको यो भिडियो प्रस्तुतिमा यहाँलाई स्वागत छ। आज तपाईहरुलाई मोबाइल स्वास्थ्य कार्यक्रममा महिला सामुदायिक स्वास्थ्य स्वयंसेविकाले गर्नुपर्ने पहिलो प्रक्रिया नयाँ व्यक्ति दर्ताको बारेमा बताउन गइरहेको छु।
Yeah, that's pretty much about the demo. Any questions?
So cool to see a really practical example. Are there ways of interplaying between, for this specific use case of a help page, is there a way of like linking to existing training cards that maybe they could walk through to revisit something maybe that they did a while ago, as far as kind of like a complementary feature to the frequently asked question?
Maybe to jump in, yes, the short answer is yes. You can link to pretty much any of the URL endpoints in the app, and it just takes you seamlessly right there. And so certainly there's a URL you can target for those training cards.
Awesome.
That's a really cool idea. Awesome. But no, thank you for the demo. Great stuff there. Excited to see that going live. And I love the juxtaposition there so much between having those, just having the phone numbers embedded in the privacy policy versus a nice help menu to see it. I mean, it's perfect. The last piece that I want to demo real quick here for everybody around UI extensions is going to be, and this is somewhat related to AI. There's a lot of conversation these days about AI happening. I see a lot of hands up too. Maybe I'll demo this one real quick, and then we'll take all the questions around UI extensions at the end. The power of AI to democratize innovation, pushing that out to the edge. I think UI extensions provides a real opportunity to do that in a special way. The complexities of software development are somewhat minimized in this context because you're basically just asking AI to build you a web component that runs within a predefined scope that's well documented already. And so it's a nice problem space for the AI to work in. And a lot of the kind of data model complexities are somewhat mitigated because you're isolated by just calling through the CHT data source API, as I talked about before. All of the integrations that you need to interoperate with the CHT app, such as getting resources and translations, that kind of stuff is already provided via a framework, so you don't have to roll your own there. In the demo I'm going to show here, this is something that I asked Claude to pretty much cook up for me with very little interaction of my own. There's been some discussion in the CHT community about using the CHT to track veterinary services. I've been raising some chickens this summer, and so I asked Claude to make me a UI extension to help me manage my chicken flock. And you can see here, when I first log into the app, it drops me straight onto this new overview tab. We have added the ability, just this is kind of an aside, we've added the ability, one of the new features coming is you can now change the order of the tabs down here. You can put your UI extension first if you want, but you can also just change the default order of the existing tabs. If you want to see your people tab first or your reports tab first, whichever tab is ordered first is the one that the user sees as soon as they load the app. So you can see as soon as I log in, I'm dropped into kind of an overview of the most important things that I need to worry about today. The data here is based on the actual contact data for my system. You can see I've got my farmer here, I've got my chickens here. All of that is flowing through and driving the data that's shown here. This particular UI extension, the visualizations that you're seeing are being built by the popular Chart.js library. You can use npm dependencies, and then what I did was I just packaged it. Frankly, Claude did it. It packaged it real quick with esbuild into just my single JS file that gets deployed out there. But so I get all of these nice visualizations. There's interactivity that you can build in here too. So for example, I've got here, I can select one of my birds. Maybe I want to change this bird's name. And I can save that. And now what that has done is it's actually updated. It's used the CHT data source API to update the contact for that bird and set a new name for it. Maybe I want to change the status of my man Cluck here, say he's sick. What this is doing is it's writing a new health check report for that contact. And now you can see he's pulling through as sick. What we can also see is, boom, I've got a needs attention list down here. Oh, I can see this chicken needs some attention. I can click there, deep links me right to the contact profile page for that contact. You can see I've got a contact summary card telling me he's sick. Here's that health check report that was just written. Unfortunately, this bird did not make it. He died. So what we're going to do is what we should do always, fill out a death report. Died today. We did take him to the health facility. No luck. Submit that. Now we've got a death report coming through. I'm going to go ahead and sync that so Sentinel picks up that death report. And you can see here, he shows up. Cluck Norris died today. If I come back to my overview, now I'm one less bird down. My man Cluck is no longer with us. And basically what you're seeing though is just the full circle kind of data flow interaction, contacts, reports. It's all pulling through. The purpose of the demo here, of course, is just to kind of give an idea maybe of the possibilities and workflows that you might be able to unlock with some of this stuff. That's all I've got. I'll pause now for questions. Maybe go for Alex first, since you're showing up first on my screen here. Alex.
Thanks, Josh. That's a pretty cool presentation, and I love the names, Cluck Norris. My question is really about how far can you push this UI extensions? Because I've got a specific use case where as community health promoter is online and they want to have a form that can fetch information off of like an online service. I'll give an example of the insurance registration. So if I have someone's ID, I need to be able to pull them up from the client registry, and then the form gets pre-filled with all the information. Then I submit that and it just gets saved. Is that something I can do with the UI extensions?
So, two things. Number one, it technically – no, but kind of yes, in that what you can code in UI extensions is kind of wide open and doesn't depend on anything. What we are looking at building perhaps in version 2 as we continue to iterate on this. This is kind of just V1, the MVP coming out. One of the things that we've identified, and I was just talking with Diana earlier this week about this, is the content security policy for the web app is not going to let you just go fetch data from random URLs and then load it into the app. Because this is running within the context of the web app, so you've got access to the web app's data, the content security policy applies, and it only lets you talk to the CHT server, basically. You can link out, so send the user, as you saw Binod do, send the user to a page where they can see it, but bringing data back from an external system and putting it in. I expect that as we continue to iterate on this functionality, though, there's going to be conversation around perhaps making the content security policy something you can edit, so that we would be able to add more URLs there that are trusted. But we want to go ahead and do that process carefully, because it's very security sensitive, right? And we want to kind of think about all of the implications there before shipping it. Right now, we wanted to go ahead and get this out and get people to start thinking about it. What are some of the additional pain points? What are the additional needs here? And then we can kind of move forwards with revisions, like adding support for editing the content security policy, that kind of stuff.
Okay, great, thanks. Looking forward to that.
Philip, I see your question there. Are the videos on the help cached on the local device DB? And the answer to that is there's kind of maybe two ways. A, you have the ability to access any of the resources that you've uploaded to your CHT app, and you can upload resource videos, and those are going to be cached locally on the device. The downside is I think it's a 30 megabyte limit right now on those, and also anything you upload is going to be downloaded to everybody's device, and so there are some kind of bandwidth implications to having a bunch of training videos uploaded like that. In Binod's example, that video, of course, was just a video hosted on YouTube that would have to be streamed over the network there and wasn't embedded. Philip, does that answer your question there?
Yeah, question answered. Thanks, and good to see this coming out.
Perfect. Awesome. And Jonathan, to your question about rewriting the UI with this feature, in terms of rewriting, maybe if you mean kind of changing the existing app pages with this feature, A, definitely not recommended. B, the web components are kind of running in a sandbox there, so the idea would be not that you can override the for example the style sheets of the rest of the app here. However, as you can kind of like get some ideas from the demo there, if you wanted to do something like a custom profile page for contacts, and when you have a contact and maybe you want to be able to just look at a different visualization of that, I think there's some interesting opportunities through these extensions to do that kind of thing. Another one would be data collection flows, right? If you wanted something a little bit different than what's provided through CHT's normal form building functionality, extensions can write reports, and that gives you kind of maybe the opportunity to work a bit outside of the normal bounds of the base functionality there. Jonathan, I didn't know if you had anything else in mind there. I see a thumbs up. Perfect. Okay, I've burned up all the time here. Back to you, Diana. Sorry.
That's okay. I think this is an awesome presentation, an awesome feature, and I'm really excited to see what pops up once this gets deployed. Okay, next slide, please. So we released CHT 513 a few days ago. We found a bug in the Nouveau indexes where if you had documents that had very large strings, which in this case we discovered them they were part of an integration and they contained base 64 image strings, and they were gigantic. And Nouveau has a limit of, I think it's 32,000 characters for the maximum character limit for indexing a full string. So this is not a tokenized string. We're going into details, but the idea is that we fix the indexes such that we skip any strings that are larger than 1,000 characters. This, unfortunately, requires the Nouveau indexes to be reindexed upon upgrade. If you are hitting this problem because you have integration strings in your reports or something like that, please upgrade. The Nouveau indexes should index quite quickly, and they don't take a lot of this space when they reindex.